Football is always about the next big thing. It's why football manager players love WONDERKIDS and why we always pay attention to our youth academies and say, why isn't X, Y, or Z young player coming on the pitch? Mateo Joseph as of late. But recently, two Leeds United first teamers have had their say on who they think could be the next people to break through into the first team. Basically, who is Leeds United's next big thing? Whilst you're here, I'd hugely appreciate you subscribing, liking the video if you enjoy, massively appreciated. But let's dive into it, because first up, we need to talk about the basics of this entire thing. Leeds United have an incredible academy. We always have done, we likely always will do. It's a benefit of being the largest club in Yorkshire, which means that when we're doing scouting for like youth players, it tends to be us picking out saying, you're really good, would you like to come to Leeds? And they'll go, yeah, because the academy's got a really good reputation, and that cycle goes on because we pick out the best players, the reputation improves, and it goes up and up and up and up. Compared to other academies, it provides a huge number of youngsters. For example, all of the London academies, yes, they've got more people to choose from, but there's a lot of academies competing for space there. Whereas we've got basically the entirety of Yorkshire, where in terms of other academies, there's not very much. There is always a risk of losing your WONDERKIDS to the top sides, though. See the case of Manchester City and Finley Gorman. But the thing with that is you get millions and millions of pounds in anyway, so it's completely fine. There's no real loss there. You've invested in your academy, you've got some financial payout. However, on the bright side, with the players that are on this particular list, listed by key Leeds United senior players, specifically Crysencio, Summerville and Archie, these players are closer to seniority and more likely to play for Leeds United in the near future. So let's dive on in to Summerville and Gray's say for two key players that could be massive for the Whites. And first up, we need to talk about someone that you might already know the name of that has been in the Leeds United senior squad recently. It's Charlie Crew. Now, although you might have heard the name, odds are you've not seen him play that much football unless you've been paying a lot of attention to the under-21s because he's not gotten into the first team yet. Because at this stage of the season, it would be insane to chuck in a 17-year-old. But he is a 17-year-old Welsh midfielder who signed a professional contract as soon as he legally could. When he was 16, up until 2025, but that is legally the longest contract he could get. The club, like we did with Archie Gray, will extend it as soon as it is possible, which I believe is on his 18th birthday, in a couple of months' time, off the top of my head. Charlie Crew has had a really impressive career so far, especially considering his young age. He was called up to Wales's under-21 side at the age of just 16, which led to lots of people calling him a prodigy and saying that this guy is absolutely incredible. And he's not only being noticed by the Wales international side, but England as well, because the Football Association were noted in October 2023 as expressing an interest in having him representing the country instead of Wales, which is a hell of a shout. For England to say, yeah, we will start a fight with the Welsh FA to sign you up to our youth sides. Big step forwards, and it's really telling of the sort of belief in his talent, but even more impressively is the fact that there have been reports that Wales are interested in cap tying, I'll explain that in a moment, the ex-Cardiff City teenager. So, used to be in Cardiff's academy, we plucked him out, and the interesting thing with this is Wales are looking to give him a senior call-up and actual minutes in their senior squad just to make sure that England can't pluck him out of their grasp, which should show the level that we're working with here. That happens so rarely for someone of his age. And it's not just internationally that he's been impressing either. He's repeatedly been in the senior squad. He's very clearly impressed Daniel Farke, who said so in press conferences. And in terms of his game itself, I watched a few of his games back, like when I was putting together the script for this video. And one thing I noticed that he's a very, very intelligent midfielder for his age. He's someone that, beyond his years, will be aware of where everyone is on the pitch and what that means for his positioning, where he needs to be, and ultimately how that can turn into an opportunity for him. That means that he is excellent at breaking up play, and because he understands where everyone is on the pitch already, his distribution is beyond solid. It's so consistent, so reliable, and it's been a big part of the under-21s game so far this season. But he's not the only one that has a big, big level of potential at Leeds United. Sorry, bit of a hiccup. Because he is being quickly followed by, and you might recognise this name, Harry Gray, who is just 15 years of age at the moment, and he started this season at the age of 14. Now, what I'm about to say to you is going to be very, very confusing because it was a little bit confusing for me. But Archie says that Harry's better than him. That's not the confusing bit. Archie is a very humble guy, and if Harry is better than him, wow, we're onto a hell of a player here. He's more of a forward. He scored 6 in the under-18s Premier League so far, which is a goal every 114 minutes, which, as goal-scoring rates go, that is obscene. And there is one reason he's not been seen more. And this is the bit that was a little bit unbelievable to me. He's literally too young to be seen in more competitions. For one, he's not allowed in the FA Youth Cup. You needed to be at least of under 16's age at the start of the season to be in the FA Youth Cup for the year, which means that at the age of 14, he was too young by a year. He wasn't allowed to play in a specifically youth cup because he was too youth, which I thought was really confusing, especially when he's been banging them in for the under-18s, but that's fine, that's okay. In addition to that, I genuinely think, having looked at various rules and regulations, I've had a really boring morning, he's too young to play for the under-21s as well, but I have absolutely no doubt that he would have been in that squad many a time by now, given his scoring rate, given his consistency, and given his sheer level of potential at the moment. He is very clearly head and shoulders above the majority of the current under-18s, and I'd expect to see him come through in the next couple of years, at the latest. He's absolutely on his way. But ultimately, what does this all mean? It's all good having 2 incredible wonder kids in your academy, but going forwards, what's the actual steps that we take here? And ultimately, I think Leeds United have a great future in our youth players, and I'd expect to see these players popping up over the next few years. Not necessarily they will be immediately first-team players like Archie Gray, because that is a generational thing. But, for example, Charlie Crew next season, I could expect to see him on the bench a lot more consistently, maybe getting the odd sub-appearance, getting the few minutes in, just to sort of say, look, I'm here, I'm getting a little bit more experienced, and that would be brilliant. But the especially good thing about having youth players in your side is they are essential to forming a better level of club culture. For this, I've looked a little bit at last season. And I've looked at the fact that in 1 year we signed Brendan Aronson, Tyler Adams, Rasmus Christensen, a bunch of other players, and they all left as soon as they could, as soon as things looked a little bit bad, because they weren't ingrained in that club culture. They didn't know what it means to be Leeds United. Having someone develop through that youth academy means that they do understand more, and they do know what's going on a little bit. And they do enjoy their time at the club, and players have a lot more of an investment in the club. And even then, in the event that some are overly career-driven or are taken away from the club by greater ambitions, like when Finlay Gorman went to Manchester City, hell, at least it brings in the cash. There were rumours of Finlay Gorman being like £4 million for the club, and that was for a 14-year-old, which is bonkers. At least I think Finlay Gorman was 14. Off the top of my head, that number sounds about right. But even then, having that strong academy means at least we've got a revenue source. So we will be both bringing players up to the senior side, we will be raking in the money from the fact that, hell, even when City and Liverpool and Manchester United decide, quite like the look of that youth player, and they persuade the parents, because at that point the club can't get involved in extensive discussions, and they persuade the parents, we're making a move here, would you like to come? At least we've got some revenue coming in. But ultimately, I want to know what you think. Let me know in the comments down below your thoughts on the Leeds United Academy, some of the best stars that it's brought through over the years, and whether you think we'll see these 2 players in the next 2 to 3 years break through into the first team. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you aren't yet. You could even become a channel member. All that revenue right now is going towards Prostate Cancer UK, so it's massively appreciated. And I will see you later. I wonder if anyone noticed that I've been wearing a hat all video instead of like going for hair. Also, I'm a little bit curious, how far does this camera zoom? Oh, that's a bit nice. See you later.